The first day of work is a universal nightmare of anxiety and bad coordination. You pack your life into a couple of bags, kiss the family goodbye, and try to look like a confident professional, while immediately tripping over your own luggage on the way out the door. Then comes the agonizing reality of the modern commute. You drag yourself through a sprawling, overcrowded transit terminal, sweating through your clothes and desperately hoping you did not forget your toothbrush or your important documents. It is a chaotic blur of boarding passes, security checks, and the sinking realization that you will be stuck in a cramped, uncomfortable seat for a very long time. But this is not a subway ride to the financial district. This particular commute requires 3,000 tons of highly explosive rocket fuel to break the grip of Earth's gravity. The new office is located exactly 140 million miles away, situated comfortably in a freezing, irradiated desert. Welcome to the morning shift on Mars. Humanity packed its bags expecting a glorious science fiction utopia. We sold ourselves a dream of gleaming glass domes, a fresh start among the stars, and the ultimate triumph of the human spirit. But the reality of colonizing the red planet is not a heroic adventure. It is a daily, relentless battle against an environment that is mathematically and physically designed to turn the human body into a freeze-dried fossil. Because while we are busy setting up spreadsheets and complaining about the Wi-Fi lag across the solar system, Mars is actively trying to kill everyone in about 400 highly specific ways. Let us look at day one of this grand cosmic experiment. The initial arrival is always treated like a honeymoon phase, entirely due to the gravity. Mars possesses only 38% of Earth's gravitational pull. For the first few hours, it feels like a genuine superpower, where a simple jump makes you feel like an Olympic athlete. But muscle memory is a stubborn thing, calibrated for the heavy pull of Earth. A colonist attempting a basic morning workout quickly discovers that applying normal force to a jumping jack will violently launch them 10 feet into the air, resulting in a concussive collision with the ceiling panels. Just walking down the street becomes a bizarre, drunken spectacle. It is not a leisurely stroll. It is a series of awkward bounding leaps that utterly confuses the human vestibular system. The inner ear, which relies entirely on Earth's specific downward force to tell the brain which way is up, goes into a state of absolute panic. The entire colony spends their first week vomiting into vacuum-sealed bags, suffering from severe space adaptation syndrome. But the real nightmare of low gravity is what it does to the internal plumbing of the human body. On Earth, gravity constantly pulls your blood and bodily fluids down toward your legs, forcing your heart to work overtime just to pump it all back up to your brain. On Mars, that downward resistance is suddenly gone. Immediately, liters of fluid shift aggressively upward into the chest and the head. The blood vessels in the face become heavily engorged, causing a deeply uncomfortable and highly comical swelling known clinically as puffy face syndrome. Meanwhile, the legs, utterly deprived of their normal blood volume, begin to shrink significantly. The fierce pioneers of tomorrow find themselves looking in the mirror, only to see a balloon-like head balanced on top of incredibly fragile flamingo legs. 1 month into our new reality, the fundamental logistics of survival crash the party. You cannot just order takeout when the delivery driver is 7 months away on a high-speed orbital transfer trajectory. The colony is strictly forced to grow its own food. Decades of Hollywood movies have convinced the public that a charismatic botanist can simply shovel some red dirt, add some organic fertilizer, and yield a massive crop of beautiful potatoes. The truth is a terrifying lesson in alien chemistry. The ground outside is not soil. It is sterile, crushed volcanic rock heavily laced with perchlorates. Perchlorates are highly toxic salts used on Earth exclusively to manufacture rocket solid propellant, fireworks, and industrial-grade bleach. Trying to cultivate a vegetable garden in Martian regolith is the biological equivalent of planting a tomato seed in a bucket, completely filled with explosive chlorine bleach. It is a fantastic strategy if you want your salad to spontaneously combust, but a terrible idea if your primary goal is the continuation of cellular respiration. Colonists must spend grueling hours heavily washing the toxic regolith with precious, highly rationed water reserves, attempting to leach out the poison just to grow a sad, withered tuber that tastes like alkaline dust. And handling this dirt requires a heavy hazmat suit, because inhaling microscopic perchlorate dust directly attacks the human thyroid gland, shutting down the entire metabolic system. 1 year into the colonization effort, the beautiful, transparent glass domes built on the surface have to be entirely abandoned. The ultimate killer on Mars is completely invisible, entirely silent, and travels at the exact speed of light. Earth is blessed with a massive, rotating iron core that generates a powerful magnetosphere, acting as a cosmic sunscreen factor, 1 million to deflect deadly solar radiation. Mars suffered a geological death and lost its magnetic field billions of years ago. Taking a casual sunbathe on the Martian surface is the astrophysical equivalent of climbing inside an industrial microwave while simultaneously getting a dozen chest X-rays. Without atmospheric or magnetic shielding, highly charged solar particle events, and deep space, galactic cosmic rays slice directly through the DNA structures of the colonists. To avoid a catastrophic, colony-wide epidemic of aggressive cellular mutation, humanity is forced to pack up and retreat underground. We trade our inspiring view of the cosmos for the depressing, claustrophobic interior of ancient, subterranean lava tubes. Life becomes a mole-like existence under 30 feet of solid basalt rock, wrapping up in emergency aluminum foil blankets every single time an orbital satellite detects a solar flare. The psychological toll is devastating across the board. Severe fevers of the cabin, disrupted circadian rhythms from the absolute lack of natural sunlight, and crushing isolation turn the brightest minds of Earth into highly anxious cave dwellers. 5 years into this grand endeavor, biology finally cashes the check that human hubris wrote. The human body is a highly complex machine engineered specifically for the harsh conditions of Earth, and it is ruthlessly efficient at discarding exactly what it no longer needs. In 38% gravity, the skeletal system realizes it no longer requires massive, dense bones to support its own weight. Osteoclast cells go into a state of absolute overdrive, aggressively breaking down bone tissue and dumping the excess calcium directly into the bloodstream. A routine medical checkup reveals a horrifying truth. Vision is permanently degrading due to continuous fluid pressure on the optic nerves. The bones of the colonists are becoming dangerously porous and brittle. A simple trip and fall, which on Earth would result in a minor bruised knee, on Mars results in a catastrophic, life-threatening shattered femur. The heart muscle itself weakens significantly because it simply does not have to fight gravity anymore. Humanity is no longer experiencing an adjustment period. We are undergoing a rapid, forced evolutionary divergence. We are ceasing to be Earthlings, transforming into a bizarre, fragile subspecies perfectly adapted to a planet that still fundamentally wants us eradicated. Decade 1 eventually arrives, and with it comes the point of absolutely no return. The chaotic Martian weather system decides it has finally had enough of our trespassing. A localized dust storm rapidly escalates, feeding aggressively on the extreme temperature differentials of the planet, until it completely encompasses the entire globe. A towering wall of abrasive red dust blocks out 99% of all incoming sunlight. The sky turns a suffocating, impenetrable shade of black. The vital solar arrays that power the life support systems, the advanced water recyclers, and the atmospheric scrubbers are instantly rendered entirely useless. Blanketed in a thick layer of opaque, toxic dirt, laser communication arrays cannot penetrate the violent storm, instantly cutting off all contact with Earth. The entire colony is plunged into total, terrifying darkness and extreme energy rationing. Unforgiving thermodynamics takes over, and the surface temperature plunges to an abysmal -100 degrees Celsius. Physics always dictates a harsh and irrefutable resolution. The global storm eventually breaks after 3 grueling, freezing months, but the damage inflicted is permanent. The colony survives, technically speaking, but the dream of a sprawling suburban utopia is dead and buried under the red dust forever. The colonists sit in their neon-lit caves, consuming recycled tubes of gray algae paste, having successfully, yet tragically, adapted to their new home. When the next massive transport ship finally arrives from Earth carrying fresh, eager colonists, the scarred veterans realize a heartbreaking truth. They can barely interact with them. The gravity differential would literally crush the Martians if they ever tried to visit Earth again. And the fresh Earthlings view the frail, swollen cave dwellers as actual aliens. We boldly crossed hundreds of millions of miles of absolute frozen vacuum, armed with the greatest technology our species has ever produced. We defied the terrifying void, conquered complex orbital mechanics, and proudly planted our flag on a brand new world. And the grand prize for all our unyielding ambition is spending the rest of our existence hiding in the dark, living permanently in the basement of another planet, and being absolutely terrified of the sun.